The success of the Battle of Bapheus can largely be attributed to the tactical brilliance of Osman I and his military commanders. Unlike the Byzantine forces, who relied heavily on traditional military formations and tactics, the Ottomans employed a more flexible approach. The Byzantine army, consisting mostly of heavily armored infantry and cavalry, was slow to react to the fast-moving Ottoman forces. The Ottomans, using their light cavalry, employed guerrilla-style tactics, launching sudden and intense attacks before retreating back into the terrain, which they knew well. These tactics, combined with the Ottoman use of archers, gave them a decisive edge. By exploiting the Byzantine slow-moving formation, the Ottomans were able to systematically wear down their opponents before delivering the final blow. The psychological warfare of Osman I's victory. Osman I's success in the Battle of Bapheus was not just a physical victory, but also a psychological one. The Byzantines, who had been a dominant force in the region for centuries, were accustomed to being the aggressors. The Ottoman victory sent a strong message to the Byzantine Empire, showing that they were no longer the sole power in Anatolia. The Ottoman tactics, combined with the surprise of the battle and the decisive defeat, demoralized the Byzantines. The loss at Bapheus had far-reaching consequences, not just in terms of territory but in the psychological impact it had on the Byzantine forces and their ability to hold on to their remaining lands. The Ottoman expansion after Bapheus. Following the victory at Bapheus, the Ottomans rapidly began expanding their territory. Osman I's forces moved to capture key Byzantine cities and fortresses along the border, establishing Ottoman rule in what had once been Byzantine-controlled areas. The victory emboldened the Ottomans, who were now able to secure additional territory in Anatolia and further encroach on Byzantine-held lands. The strategic value of the victory was immense. Not only did it give the Ottomans control over more territory, but it also allowed them to establish a stronghold that would become the foundation for future Ottoman conquests. Bapheus provided the Ottomans with the confidence and momentum needed to push forward in their campaign to dominate the region. Consolidation of power within the Ottoman state. The Battle of Bapheus marked a key moment in the consolidation of power within the Ottoman state. Following the victory, Osman I was able to strengthen his control over his followers and further unify the diverse tribes and military forces that made up his growing empire. The victory helped secure loyalty from neighboring Turkish beyliks, who saw Osman as a legitimate and powerful ruler. The Ottomans' success at Bapheus demonstrated that they were a force to be reckoned with, not only in Anatolia but also in the greater Middle Eastern and Byzantine spheres. Osman I's ability to unite various factions under his leadership would become a hallmark of the Ottoman Empire's success in the coming centuries. The expansion of Ottoman influence in the Balkans. The success at Bapheus didn't just affect Anatolia. It also had a significant impact on the Ottomans' influence in the Balkans. After the battle, Osman I shifted his focus toward expanding into Europe. By securing more territory along the Byzantine frontier, the Ottomans gained easy access to the Balkans, a region that would later become central to Ottoman power. With the Byzantine Empire in retreat, the Ottomans used the momentum from Bapheus to launch further military campaigns into the Balkans. The Ottoman presence in the region grew, and the battle marked the beginning of a series of successful conquests in southeastern Europe, a process that would continue under Osman's successors. The strengthening of Ottoman military institutions. The Battle of Bapheus was a defining moment in the development of the Ottoman military. Following the victory, Osman I recognized the importance of establishing a well-organized and disciplined army to sustain the growing empire. The Ottomans began to build a more formalized military structure, including the formation of elite troops such as the Janissaries. This elite infantry corps, which would become one of the most feared military forces in the world. was formed from Christian boys taken through the Devshirme system and trained as loyal soldiers. The victory at Bapheus highlighted the need for a strong, loyal and disciplined military, and Osman I's subsequent military reforms set the stage for the Ottomans' ability to maintain power across vast territories. The long-term impact of Bapheus on the Ottoman Empire. The Battle of Bapheus had lasting implications for the future of the Ottoman Empire. In the short term, it allowed Osman I to expand his territory and strengthen his hold on Anatolia and the Balkans. However, in the long term, the battle demonstrated the Ottoman military's ability to challenge the established powers of the region, namely the Byzantine Empire. It showed that the Ottomans were a rising force that could not be ignored. As the Byzantines began their long decline, the Ottomans capitalized on their victory at Bapheus, continuing to expand their empire across 3 continents. The battle laid the groundwork for a dynasty that would dominate the Middle East, southeastern Europe, and North Africa for over 600 years. In the early 14th century, the Byzantine Empire, once a dominant power in the eastern Mediterranean, was struggling to maintain control over its territories. Internal division, corruption, and constant warfare had weakened its military strength. At the same time, the growing Ottoman Principality, under the leadership of Osman I, was steadily expanding its influence across Anatolia. The rise of the Ottomans posed a direct threat to the Byzantine Empire, and the Battle of Bapheus in 1302 would prove to be a turning point in the struggle for dominance over the region. This battle, fought near the town of Bapheus in northwestern Anatolia, marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's military supremacy and its shift from a small tribal force to a formidable military power. The pre-battle context: Ottoman versus Byzantine tension. Prior to the battle, the Ottomans had already engaged in several skirmishes with the Byzantine Empire. Osman I, the founder of the Ottoman dynasty, had expanded his territory through strategic raids and alliances. His forces, though numerically smaller, were swift and mobile, utilizing light cavalry and advanced tactics that gave them an edge over their Byzantine counterparts. The Byzantine Empire, on the other hand, was struggling with its own internal problems. The weakening state was unable to properly defend its frontier territories, leaving the Ottomans with an opportunity to push further into Byzantine-controlled lands. Osman I's ambitions were clear: to establish his people as the dominant force in Anatolia and beyond, ultimately founding an empire that would last for centuries. The Byzantine response to Ottoman expansion. In response to the growing Ottoman threat, the Byzantine Emperor Andronikos II sent a military force to confront Osman I's expanding principality. The Byzantine army, commanded by a general named Nikephoros I Komnenos, was much larger than Osman's forces. However, the Byzantine forces were hindered by their cumbersome tactics, slow-moving infantry, and a lack of cohesion between the Byzantine generals. The Byzantine military's reliance on heavy cavalry, while formidable in certain circumstances, proved ineffective against the nimble and resourceful Ottoman warriors, who were well suited to the rugged terrain of Anatolia. This contrast in military strategy would play a pivotal role in the outcome of the Battle of Bapheus. Osman I's tactical advantage. Osman I's military success lay not just in the strength of his forces, but in his superior tactics. He employed swift and decisive strategies that relied on surprise, speed, and exploiting the weaknesses of his enemies. The Ottoman forces utilized light cavalry, which could maneuver through the mountainous terrain and attack quickly, overwhelming their opponents before they had time to organize a counterattack. Unlike the heavily armored Byzantine infantry, the Ottomans' cavalry was highly mobile, able to strike fast and retreat quickly. This mobility allowed Osman to harass and defeat his enemies in smaller skirmishes, ultimately leading to the decisive battle at Bapheus. The Battle of Bapheus, Strategy and Outcome. The Battle of Bapheus took place in 1302, near the town of Bapheus, which is thought to be located in present-day Turkey. Osman I's forces, numbering around 10,000 men, faced a much larger Byzantine force of approximately 20,000 soldiers. Despite being outnumbered, the Ottomans employed hit-and-run tactics that exploited the Byzantine army's weaknesses. The Byzantines, under Nikephoros, were not accustomed to the swift and unpredictable attacks of the Ottoman cavalry, and their formation broke apart under pressure. The Byzantine forces were decisively defeated, and Nikephoros was forced to retreat. Osman I's forces captured key territory as a result of this victory, and the battle demonstrated that the Ottomans had the capability to challenge Byzantine power head-on. The immediate aftermath of the battle. In the immediate aftermath of the Battle of Bapheus, Osman I's victory had significant ramifications. The Byzantines, already struggling to hold on to their dwindling territory, were forced to cede more land to the Ottomans. The defeat at Bapheus also had a psychological effect. It shattered the illusion that the Byzantine Empire could still defend itself against the rising power of the Ottomans. For Osman, the victory served as both a military and political triumph. It validated his leadership and solidified his reputation as a capable and powerful military leader. More importantly, it marked a turning point for the Ottoman Principality, as they began to gain the respect of neighboring Turkish beyliks and a foothold in Byzantine-controlled lands. The significance of Bapheus in Ottoman history. The Battle of Bapheus is widely regarded as one of the key events that solidified Ottoman power in the region. It was a clear demonstration of the effectiveness of Osman I's military strategies and set the stage for the Ottoman Empire's eventual dominance over the Byzantine Empire. The victory at Bapheus opened the door for further Ottoman expansion into Byzantine territories and marked the beginning of the decline of the Byzantine Empire. For the Ottomans, it was the first major step in establishing a powerful empire that would last for more than 6 centuries. Osman I's victory over the Byzantines at Bapheus remains a defining moment in Ottoman history and in the broader history of medieval warfare. The victory at Bapheus not only had military implications, but also bolstered the Ottoman diplomatic standing in the region. As the Ottomans began to expand their territories, Osman I was able to form crucial alliances with neighboring Turkish beyliks and even some Christian principalities. The defeat of the Byzantine forces at Bapheus shattered the perception of Ottoman weakness and proved to be a defining moment in Ottoman diplomacy. The Ottomans began to be seen as a power with both military and political strength, attracting the attention of other states who sought to form beneficial relationships with the rising empire. The rise of Osman I as a symbol of Ottoman identity. Following the victory at Bapheus, Osman I became a symbol of Ottoman unity and identity. His success in battle, combined with his leadership qualities, made him a respected figure both within his own empire and in neighboring states. The victory elevated Osman's stature among the Turkish beyliks, with many of them recognizing his authority and seeking to align themselves with the growing Ottoman power. The battle further solidified the Ottoman identity as a force destined for empire building, and Osman's leadership became a model for future Ottoman rulers who would carry on his legacy. The impact on Byzantine resistance. The defeat at Bapheus had a devastating effect on Byzantine resistance in the region. The Byzantine Empire, already weakened by internal divisions, struggled to maintain its hold on Anatolia and the Balkans. The loss at Bapheus served as a wake-up call to the Byzantine rulers, showing that their military strategies were outdated and ineffective against the Ottomans. As the Byzantine Empire retreated, the Ottomans were able to take control of more Byzantine lands, and the Byzantines were forced to rely on more desperate measures to try to halt the Ottoman advance. This marked the beginning of the end for Byzantine power in the region. Expansion into the Balkans and beyond. With the strategic advantage gained from the victory at Bapheus, the Ottomans were able to expand into the Balkans and beyond. This marked the start of the Ottomans' significant territorial acquisitions in southeastern Europe. After the battle, Osman I and his successors continued to push into European territories, establishing a stronghold in the Balkans and paving the way for further conquests. The success at Bapheus demonstrated that the Ottomans were not only capable of defeating their regional rivals, but also had the military prowess and ambition to take on larger European powers in the coming centuries, the foundation for a lasting Ottoman Empire. In the broader context, the Battle of Bapheus was not just a victory in a single conflict, but the moment that laid the foundation for the Ottoman Empire's future success. It demonstrated the Ottomans' military capabilities and solidified Osman I's position as the founder of an empire that would rise to dominate the Mediterranean world. The victory also helped establish the Ottoman military and political structure that would support the empire for centuries. With a solidified base in Anatolia and the Balkans, the Ottomans were poised for continued expansion, eventually creating one of the most enduring empires in history.